Web Manga. I am Agent Manga, and this is Burn the Witch Season 1. So, I'm gonna get started with the first thing, which is really Nini telling a story, giving her speech about how basically fairy tales are full of it. And I heard the original translation is basically something that nobody can say on screen, which I basically do kind of say it, but I'm trying not to do that. So it's basically all those who believe in fairy tales and magic. Yeah, magic is good, but it's not like special, all that. And those who believe in princesses and all that, they're idiots, and all that stuff is idiotic. So like Nini's running away from her fans, and it's just like she's a pop idol, which I don't get because she's in London, and it would make more sense if she was in Japan. Never mind, let's just keep going. Then Nini activates a coin which allows her to go to reverse London, which is where everything takes place. Then we cut over to Noel, who's basically hunting down a Budbuck, which is a dragon, which my original thought on dragons were they were hollows basically, but no, they're not. They're different to hollows. There are black dragons which are more like hollows than the regular dragons. A Budbuck is basically a deer dragon that has buds on his horns that bloom and then allow them to basically use magic. And then a giant bat shows up because a whole bunch of magic went on. Noel uses Blue Spark, which is a spell, and shoots it away with I thought was a gun, but it turns out to be a horn. And then we get Noel and Nini's first interaction, and then we find out that Nini is a higher rank than her. Which there's another thing that I have a problem with, because it's a Japanese thing, but they're in London. It's because Nini says that she doesn't want Noel to call her by her first name, which in London, calling somebody by their first name is basically normal. It's just like, it's not personal at all, it's just calling somebody by their name. And then Noel, it's just a whole bunch of stuff. Nini is kind of a jerk in this chapter, but it's explained at the end of like the 4 chapters that they, well, it's only really explained about how she's so mean to Bulgur, because like they knew that, I'm gonna spoil it, like there's an execution put out on Bulgur, and like everybody's mean to Bulgur because they're trying to like mentally prepare for like his death, which kind of explains why they were such jerks to him. I know Bulgur is my least favorite of the main characters, but still, Bulgur is just an idiot. He's not somebody to really get mad at. And then, like, we find out that there's like 2 ways to get points. There's 2 ways on completing a job, like what they just did with the Budbuck. You can just get regular money, or you can get points to get up the levels. Nini wants to get points, while Noel just wants to get money, which personally, I'd want money. Then Bulgur is seen with Osushi, which is their dog, which I find adorable. My favorite. Osushi is so cute. I'm a very big dog person, and anybody who says that dogs are bad, come fight me. Anytime, anywhere. Now, everybody's a jerk, and then we get to, like, Nini is just a jerk in this first chapter, and she does seem like a very cynical person. But then we get to see, like, I think it's, I'll just call him Junior. His name will come to me, I'm sorry, I had it before. And Junior is basically saying, oh, come on, I'm your superior. And Nini basically says, if you remember the one shot, hey, you were kicked out of Sabers because you were so lazy. Sabers is basically the main combat unit in this whole thing. Since this is Soul Society West Division, they still like have divisions, which are explained later on. And then we get, since it was kicked out because he was lazy, as we see later on in these chapters, this guy is basically the Urahara of this series, because clearly Tite Kubo loves Urahara, because they're basically doing him again. And I like Urahara. Like, he's one of my favorite characters from Bleach. I really love him. And then, sure, this guy is he does come off as more of a lazy slob. Like, I first thought of him, yeah, he's just a lazy slob. But later on, it starts to get like the sprinklings that he's actually a badass. And plus, in the final chapter, you do get to see he's a biggity badass. Then they go off to basically stop Osushi's rampage, which I would definitely let him kill me. Come here, Osushi. Like, he's so adorable. I love Osushi. I'm a dog person. Come at me. Then Bulgari. This scene I really like because I don't know what's going on. Like, in the final chapter of this season, it's basically a big, like, no. Nell basically hugs Bulgari because, well, she had to suppress her feelings because a whole bunch of stuff. Because she probably, I see possibly a ship with these two. It's the Noel is like the black-haired chick, although I do definitely see a relationship building because it's just I see some scenes and I do definitely see a relationship, although Osushi is the best. Then there's this guy, it's just like a side thing, it's just this guy was hanging around, he might have been turned into a dragon cloak, which is what I first thought was like originally like a Fullbringer, but no, it's not a Fullbringer. But it's just like basically you attract dragons, you don't gain an ability, which is kind of a cheap ripoff. Because even like say if you're a Fullbringer, you get powers. Like this, you don't get powers, which is crappy. Like, I hate this scene. I don't know why they have to like have this guy lick Noel's phone, which I just find creepy, but it's okay. It's not like this guy's doing it on purpose, it's just like he has to lick it to find out like how much she's been infected. And then like they're attacked by a dragon, which then these two like attack and knock off its head. Then it's revealed to be a dark dragon, which is, it's like really creepy. It's like got no head, it's like got a tongue hanging out of its head, and it's just like, it's this is the first dark dragon attack in like 96 years, I think. Yeah, 96 years. So this is a pretty big deal. And Noel and Nini plan on taking down this dark dragon. Like, Noel is about to use like spell 75? Yeah, 75 to attack it and then defeat it. And plus it's revealed that what I thought was the guns were horns. She uses it to create like this crown type thing. It kind of reminds me of like a crown, like it's a circle with like these spikes. It just like reminds me of a crown. You know what? It's a crowny shape. And then Noel's about to take it out when the top of horns are revealed. I'd have to say that these guys are like the captains of the series. Like, they're like, yeah, the captains of the divisions. Like, you have Bruno Bagknife, which is the most developed character in the series, which is the most developed out of all of them, and reminds me of Grimmjow and Basby, which I'm guessing Kubo went along with that idea, but I really like him. He's my favorite character, and not just because he looks like those characters, which are pretty cool, because Grimmjow's my favorite Arrancar, and like Basby, I mean not Basby, Bruno is just like the hothead. He's the leader of the Inks division, which we find out are like those London spray painters, like those guys who wear the masks and like go around with spray cans and like spray paint things. Like, I know that's a very British thing. I don't know what those people are called, but I know they just go around and like they're taggers, I think they're called. Like they're graffitiists, but they're like, I think it's a particular title for what they are in like London. I don't know. Like it's basically he's the commander of the Magic Circles division, which is Inks, which explains since he uses spray cans as a weapon, which is like he creates a magic circle with a spray can, and then he like either summons something, or I could think he could seal something. And then Rudy B, who is the leader of Anthem, I don't know how to say it. And then there's this chick, I don't know how to say her name or her squad name or that type of thing, but I hate her design. Like, it was fine when it's like in the first chapter, that's perfectly fine. It's just later on when we see a color spread of them, I just hate it. Like, she's basically got a heart-shaped opening where her, you know, is, and it basically shows that she's wearing a thong. I don't get it. She's supposed to be intimidating, but I think she's going to be powerful, but she's definitely no Soifone or any other real dangerous character like the first Kenpachi. And then we get Trombone something or other, which is, this guy is the leader of the division that Noel and Nini are in. So this guy, I definitely would be like one of the people who will be like very rarely to show up, but I would think would show up more often than the other ones. And then we get Sullivan Squire, which is the leader of Sabres, which is the main combat squad, which we'll find out more about her. When I first saw this, I thought, oh, is that a dude or a chick? But it's a chick. And then we get to see Skye Ren, which is basically, he's missing. He's not there, so, and he's got like this, like, stitching thing with his name, so I'm guessing he's gonna be like the Mayuri of this series, because I think that Mayuri was like Kubo's favorite captain, because I think he dressed up one day as Mayuri. Then we have Harry Scarex. He's the leader of the accounting corps, which means that he's basically the guy who makes sure that the place doesn't run out of money, which is called the Billionaires. Pretty swanky name. And then we get Wolfgang Strathers. I'm just gonna call him Wolfgang. He reminds me of You-Watch, the main villain of the final arc of Bleach. Yeah, that guy. And if you guys want to know my thoughts on him, screw him. He's way too overpowered. And then, like, this guy looks really good. He reminds me of Yamamoto, but I'm definitely saying he looks more like You-Watch. And then, like, they put out a call because dragon cloaks attract dragons to them, like black dragons and all that. And we get to find out more about black dragons later on. I thought, like, a dragon turned into a black dragon. No, I think it might be that they're actually born as black dragons. Well, they put out a kill order on Bulgur. And that was basically it for the first chapter. And pretty good. And then we get to the second chapter, which has a color spread. The first one had a color spread, but it's just like that generic, oh, look at, behind, no, Nini is looking behind him like this, and Noel is just sitting down. It's just like that on a wall looking. In this one, the two of them are eating pies, which, I don't know, looks really cool. Kubo needs to make more, like, color stuff, because that looks good. Then we get to see, like, a news report about one of Nini's members of her band, which is stated to basically have left the band because of fighting, which is not true, and might actually have a crush on Nini, which I'm fine with. If you swing that way, you swing that way. And then we get to see this person, which I'm assuming is Nini's friend, who I can never remember the name of. Like, she's really important, but I can never remember her name because I just don't like her. She's just like a bland character who's just like, she's an alright person, it's just her character's not that interesting for me. So I don't really remember her name, unlike Bruno Bang Knight, who is an awesome character, which doesn't just remind me of Grimjow or Basby. Then we get to see, like, this apartment, which is Noel's, which has, like, a whole bunch of dragons, like, in pots. Like, I think Noel is my mother in this world, because if you guys want to see my house, it's covered in plants. There are plants everywhere. And if they were like pot plant dragons, I'd be fine with it. But no. Like, and then we get to see, like, Noel with her broom. It's like, lots of stuff in this series, like modes of transportation, are dragons, because dragons are not hollows. They are more like things that they get together. They can be used for resources, or like say pets, or say transportation. They're pretty good. And then we get to, like, later on we'll get to see like Bruno show like his dragon, like Knickerbacker, I think it is. Yeah, Knickerbacker, which is a pretty cool dragon with like multiple wings. And we get to see like different uses of dragons. Like there's like a dragon book, which Kubo, you know, at the end of the series, you could just give me, like, you could come up with a whole like different things of dragons, like bring up, oh, this is like, you can already have the Budbuck, because I'm really into like magical creatures. You could just possibly send me that. You hear that, Kubo? You could possibly send me it, and I'd be really willing to like give it a once over, maybe get somebody to translate it. Give me a whole thing of dragons. But besides that, we get to see like Sushi again, which is an adorable dog, which if anybody says is not adorable, I will hunt you down. And it seems like Bulgar is staying at Noel's place, which is not bad, but he's basically my least favorite. Okay, he's my third favorite. No, he's my fourth favorite of the main cast. Junior's my favorite. Noel, then Nini. No, wait, Nini. It's in between them, between Nini and Bulgar and all that. And then there's like this paper company, which I forget the name of, which is under attack by like basically it might be a terrorist. Oh wait, right. There's like this mission which is related to Horns basically trying to kill off Bulgar, which is pretty bad. Which basically they say, oh Bulgar, you're a part of Horns now, so welcome. Just put this thing on, and here's a horn. You go deal with this dragon. They go after it, and Junior. Oh, Billy Banks. That's his name. Billy Banks Jr. is sends them out on a mission, and I think Bulgar does have a crush on Noel, and I think Noel does have a crush on Bulgar, which is fine. I'm fine with that. And he really does seem happy that he's finally being able to do like magic and all that type of stuff, and gets a magic horn like doo-doo-doo-doo. Like all the other ones kind of look like guns, but this horn that Bulgar gets is an actual horn. But then like the Realist, I think it's called, the Realist, gets attacked by this Noel's friend with a dragon. This dragon is really goddamn important, but like, okay, I'll give her like her backstory. She like found this dragon which helps her out, and she just hates this headline because she makes it seem like she's a greedy bad person, and doesn't like literally the person that she might have a crush on, are fighting. And I like this dragon. It just like first has like this look of like it's kind of like a spider with a bird skull for a head. If you guys like seen the trailer for basically Burn the Witch, which is going to be, this whole thing is going to be the movie. This whole season is going to be the entire movie for Burn the Witch. So all the trailers that we've seen is basically is already been revealed in the manga, so it's going to be this first season. And then Kubo is going to come back out. It could be a yearly thing, once a year. So Kubo comes back and says, "Oh, here's Burn the Witch. Here's a season of Burn the Witch." Like once a week. Like Kubo could have enough time to like, or say it's like Kubo has like a month to a few, like 2 to 3 months of a gap. He works on like the chapters in between, gets them out, and then he just like works on the chapters again. Like, oh, the girl's name is Marcy, and she has pink hair, although her dragon also kind of has like a pinkish white aesthetic to it. It's like a spider. It's the best way to describe her dragon. It's like a spider snake with a skull. And it'll change later on into something more awesome, but it's alright. And Marcy basically calls it Ellie, which makes sense later on why it's called Ellie, because this is a really good this is a really powerful dragon. Although it's not explained how the hell it's this type of dragon. I'll just like get to it. I'm gonna keep it a surprise. And I'm gonna get to the final chapter, and then I'm going to explain something. I'm going to give spoiler warnings for those who don't want anything beyond this. Like, all the trailers have revealed up to a certain point, and like, I think it was yesterday that the chapters came out, so that's good. And then Marcy basically grabs a desk and throws it at Noelle, which is basically the sign that I think that she's into Nini, which I'm fine with. And then Bruno shows up, my favorite member of Horns. Like, this is throughout the whole thing. This makes Bruno look amazing. Like, Bruno starts off as like this bad guy. Like, I think he's just firing off like magic energy, just like firing off minimum spells like to deal with people. Like, he's not trying to kill anybody here. Like, he's not trying to kill anyone. He's just trying to like knock them out. Maybe club of 2 or 3 people, and that's basically it. Maybe just because he's after Bruno, he's Bulgur, to basically him and deal with the black dragons. Now that's the end of chapter 2. Chapter 3 is just like the two, Nini and Noel. Like, I wonder which one is like the main character, but I'm fine with 2 main characters. Like, they're both like in the house. Noel is having some headphones on, Nini's reading a book, and so is Noel, and Osushi's right next to him, which is adorable. I love Osushi. He is adorable. And then Billy Banks Jr. shows up at, I don't know, Crown? Is like Crown like the 14th division? I forget the guy's name. Then Sullivan Squire shows up, basically saying, "Hey Billy, what are you doing here? You didn't say goodbye when you left Sabers," which basically means that he wasn't kicked out. If he's saying, "Oh, you didn't say goodbye when you left," which basically makes me think, when I first saw this, I thought, did he not? This was like when I first thought that, oh, he's like the Kisuke Urahara character for this series, but he's like, oh yeah, I came back to say bye, because no way this character. I'm seeing this chick as definitely a person to keep your eyes on. Like, I'm not saying that she's a bad guy or a good guy, I'm just saying that she's a person to keep your eyes on. Like, she's the one who's noticing stuff. And Billy Banks is just saying, he's just playing dumb, which he is. He's not dumb, he's really, really smart and powerful. Then Bulgur basically shows up, and then Nini basically insults my favorite member of Horns, although he is the only real one that is shown off with with the most development so far. Like, he's the guy with the most development. And it's like, he gets a call basically saying, "Oh, what are you doing? It hasn't really, the order hasn't gone out yet, you're not supposed to go after this guy." And Bruno is basically saying, "Screw off, it'll be out in a minute, and I can easily do it now. I want the reputation," which I don't make sense, since he's already the top of Horns. What other stuff? Does he like want to replace Wolfgang or something? But here's the thing that I only noticed in like the last chapter, I figure out in the last chapter, his color scheme is like blue. I always saw him as more of a red color scheme. Like, I'm fine with him being blue, it's just his color scheme looks more red. And have I mentioned the art style? Like, it's very Bleach-esque. It does take place in the same world, and this is the same artist, but Kubo is an amazing artist. I cannot praise the end of Bleach enough for its art. It was amazing. But it was really good. It's just like, Bruno is not happy because Noel basically said, your hair dye sucks, which basically pissed him off. And Bruno is basically sent his men off to deal with Bulgur, and then basically Noel comes in, saves him, and gets him out of here. So if it's the same world, I'm pretty sure that these characters are that like Bulgur is at least captain level, and like is able to do a whole bunch of stuff. Like he's at least which one's a good captain? Let's see. Rose. I'll go with Rose. I'm gonna say that Bulgur is at least at the level of Rose in fighting power, because we don't really know that much on power scaling so far. Like, if say we were to see a character from like Bleach show up, which I'd be fine with, I like have a few characters who I think could easily show up, but I'll get to that later. Like, and I love like Bruno Bang Knives. Okay. Bruno is basically always saying bloody hell, since it's basically England, and that's one of the worst insults you can possibly do. I curse a lot on this channel, but I'm gonna try to cut down. Like, Nini gets right behind her with a gun, with basically her horn gun, which wants to give Bruno some questions, but he's basically just saying, all I'm doing is trying to kill your friend. Why can't you just go away? And then he just kicks the gun out of her hand, and then Noel catches it, fires the two of them at him. Nini's able to escape, grab Marcy, get out of there, while Bruno is just pissed. Or they leave Ellie behind, which I don't really like Ellie in this form, at least. And then Bruno calls Brickabacco, which I'm definitely saying is red. It's just like the colors see, like, in my head when I was reading the chapters, like, Bruno was red. I don't like how he's blue. I don't know why, I just don't like him blue. It just doesn't look right with his character design. Like, everything else is perfectly fine, it's just the colors. Like, I'm not a very big colors guy, like in manga and all that. Like, I'm fine with the good designs. It's just, he's got a good design, but you know how some characters have good design but a bad color palette? That's what I have right now. But then Bruno calls Brickabacco, which is my favorite dragon, which is basically used as a broomstick, because it's like a massive dragon. Like, it could basically, like, it's like, as long as it is, it's basically, I think, like 4 or 3 Brunos long. And it's got like 4 wings, and it might be blue, but I hope it's red. I just like Bruno seems like a guy who would use red. I'm just saying. And then Marcy, after they get away, like, the two of them cast a spell to basically make sure that nobody can detect them. Nobody can detect. Sorry about that. Basically cast a spell that nobody can detect them. But then Marcy describes on how she found Ellie as a child, which basically means that she's a dragon clerk, like Bulgur, which is not bad, which means that she could possibly be, which she does become a witch at the end of the series, well, at the end of the season. But then Bulgur shows up, shattering it with Brickabacco, which is an awesome name and an awesome dragon. And then he pulls out the wanted poster for Bulgur. And then Bulgur, come on, man. I know he's the comedy relief, he's the calm guy, doesn't really worry about stuff, but come on, you just got a death warrant out on you. Be a little bit worried, man. Like, that's my only problem with this guy. He's never worried about anything. It's my one problem with this guy. He's never worried. Now, time for spoilers for the final part of this chapter and my favorite one. The fourth one is my favorite. It got like good build up, good lore. It's got like, because me, I'm a lore guy. I will literally just learn about a series just to learn about its lore. I could not give a damn about like the main storyline. Like I could not give a hoot about the storyline and just read about the lore. I love that. But if it's a good story, all that, I'm fine with it. Now, time to just like this color page basically shows all the characters and their color spread. Like all the leaders of Horn, which this is the one where it reveals that like the chick who I can't say the name of basically reveals that she's got a heart-shaped hole in her groin, basically showing that she's wearing a thong. That's my least favorite design of this series. It's just I hate her design. It doesn't look right. Like it would have been fine if it's just like this priestess-like look. But then you like get to see the billionaire guy, the leader of Sabers, the trumpet guy, Wolfgang, the all posh guy, Bruno, which I don't mind his design, but it just felt red to me. And he's got like this little bit of dyed hair, like there. Like, is that the only bit that Noel is making fun of? Because I was thinking, oh, like his whole head is like dyed, but no, it's not. It's all black. But then, like, Bruno showing up, basically saying, I'm gonna kill this guy and get the recognition and deal with this crap. Then Ellie shows up at the end of at the beginning of this chapter, and Ellie is basically the leader, is the ancestor of all black dragons, which are basically hollows. And then Ellie basically cuts Brickabacker's wing, and Bruno basically tries to kill it, which I don't blame him. But then there's like this moonlight shift, which basically turns Ellie into her true form, which is Cinderella. Cinderella, the thing of dragons. Like, it's the it was called moon molting, which allows them to reveal their true form, which is one of the Matrisen? I think it's the Matrisen. I'm gonna say Matrisen from now on. It's the first time, and it's like everybody is wondering, because like the Matrisen, I'm gonna call them the King Dragons. I'm just gonna call them King Dragons, because I am not saying that, because I'm terrible at that. I like the most legendary of dragons. And then we get to see, like, there are 6 of them in total, excluding like Cinderella. Like, in total, including Cinderella, there are 7. Like, you got Cinderella, like, they're all based on stories, like Cinderella, Snow White, Red Dress, Golden Axe, Bubbles, Sugar House, and Band of Animals. Like, the only one I don't really have an idea on is Golden Axe. Like, for a while I thought, like, when I first thought that, oh, is it like the Huntsman from Little Red Riding Hood? But then I immediately thought, oh, that's Red Dress is Little Red Riding Hood. Snow White is clear. Bubbles is probably the Little Mermaid. Sugar House is probably Hansel and Gretel, and it's probably the witch from Hansel and Gretel. And Animal Band is maybe the Lion King. I think that. Then Cinderella, which basically is based on the story of Cinderella. Basically has the moon and basically uses invisible dust, which is both to basically destroy the whole city. And then Bruno, like, takes off his bandana, ties it around his face, and I don't know what they call the people who, I I don't think they're just taggers. I think he's just like a tagger. And like, we get to see like Bruno's softer side, like when he taps Brickleback's head, basically saying, "You're down to 3 wings, are you alright to deal with this?" Brickleback's like, "Yeah, man." And then he goes after basically this guy. Then Nolan and Nini head off. They move really fast, and it's probably shown that these guys are like light speed, because in Bleach it's very consistent. I have to agree that Bleach characters are at light speed level. Sorry, just had a crick in my neck. And then Bruno prepares to use the reason why his division's called Ink. He grabs some spray paint and makes a circle, and then he uses release code 0575 to unlock Hungry Shadow. And here's some thoughts about the series. I think that each character may represent like one of the tops of horns, maybe one of the sins. I don't know. Like when I first thought it'd be like one of the sins, but then I thought there's 8 of them. I don't know. Like maybe Bang Knife is like gluttony, because most of this stuff involves gluttony, but no. And also, I respect him because he's basically saying, "Hey, if you two help me, I will personally allow you to join Inks," which I'd have to say is way better than the Trumpet division. And plus, I personally like this, like the spray paint circle summoning, because summoning is one of my favorite things in all of Magic. Basically, he gets them to, they don't agree to it, but they don't disagree to it. I'm pretty sure that Billy Banks Jr. can easily just like be, "Hey, do you mind if I transfer to your division?" But I don't think they're gonna transfer, but I like them to, because spray paint magic circles. They basically do a spell which is basically a double spell, which is called Super Nail Jail, which I don't mind. Then Bruno creates like this magic circle to summon a thing called Greedy Capitals, which basically creates a whole bunch of things that look like letters. I don't know what they say, but I think it's like just choke, because it looks like a really big liquid. And I don't know what Cinderella's strength is, because Cinderella like, it's not really a good idea because we have no real comparisons in this series. Like if say a character from Bleach were to show up, like say Grimmjow, which I'm perfectly fine with show up, please, it's my favorite Arrancar, Espada and all that. Like Marcy tries to talk to like Cinderella, and Cinderella's just like not willing to deal with any of this. She's just like, "Screw off, I'm gonna kill you now." But then like Nell and Noelle basically go like, "Bruno, go away." And then Bruno grabs the horn and a sword comes out, which I'm fine with him like being King Arthur in this series. Like I'm fine with that. Like that could show up, I'd be fine with it. Then he can be a biggity badass. I'm fine with Bruno being a biggity badass. I'm fine with all these characters being biggity badasses. But Marcy, she's alright. She's not the greatest, but I don't know. But then like Cinderella looks at like, oh, I should mention Cinderella's weakness. She has like this thing on her head that looks like a crown. You like destroy the middle thing of her crown, like the middle spike on her crown, and then she'll stop. But then she gets shot through the head, through like the tiara thing, and she dies immediately. And then we cut over to like the main thing, and you just like got this finger, like the main division, and then like you got this finger and a hole of glass, and then it goes up, revealing Billy Banks Jr. has just killed one of the 7 Dragon Kings, basically. And saying, "Good grief, he basically doing it like, "Good grief, did I do that?" Wait, let me say it again. "Good grief, did I do that?" Basically. And then, like, we cut to basically the next day with Nini basically saying, hey, what the hell? How come we didn't get any credit for taking down that Dragon King? And then, like, Billy Banks is basically saying, and even though he's the guy who took down the dragon, nobody else seems to know. He's the only one who, like, Bruno's getting all the credit. I heard Bruno's like, I did not take that thing down, but I want to know who it was. He's definitely not Grimmjow or Bazby so closely, but he's definitely a more lighter character. He's more nice, I'd have to say. And then the way I get this evidence is basically he says to the Top of Horns Wolfgang, do you mind not killing this kid? Just as a solid? Wolfgang says, fine, but since one of the Dragon King showed up, which I'm just gonna call it a Dragon King. Sorry about that. A Dragon King. They want to lead all the Dragon Kings to Reverse London so they can take them all out. So if, like, Bruno's the one who took down this one, maybe one of the other captains will, like, maybe each one will take it down, but there are only 7 Dragon Kings, and I don't really see it being that formulaic. Maybe there'll be a few twists, but since they're the originators of the Black Dragons, I'm fine with them just being like, they're not the direct bad guys, but it's okay for them. Maybe Quincy could show up, maybe some Stern Raiders, maybe a few Hollows could show up. I'm fine with that. But then we get, like, the chick who's the leader of Sabers, like, getting on the box that Billy Banks got on, and, like, where the hole is, where he took down Cinderella. And then we get a pretty cool idea on Billy Banks, the original Billy Banks, like, Billy Banks Sr. Like, he's a hero because it's called that Billy Banks is the son of a hero. So that means Billy Banks is actually means that his father is probably even more badass than he is, which I want to find out, like, maybe. And plus we have some other questions, like, what about, like, where did all these dragons come from? Where do they come from? Like, where did these, like, Dragon Kings come from? Then you have, like Cinderella, like, Ella was found as a infant, then was raised by Marcy. Oh, yeah, Marcy also joined the Piper's Division. Oh, I already mentioned that. And all that type of stuff. But it's just like, where do they come from? Like, are they the originals, or are they, like, reincarnated, or are they, like, descendants? Like, that's my thoughts. And then we get to the final scene of the whole thing. I really like, it's just like, Noelle gets up, hugs Bolgar, she was just, like, protecting herself from it, because she didn't want to get a real connection to him, because she's, like, worried that, oh, this guy is probably gonna die, because he's a dragon cloak, but since he's basically going to be the MacGuffin of this series, basically lure the dragons in, kill them, and make sure there's no more black dragons. Which is a perfectly fine idea. It's a really smart idea, I personally have to say, but I'm not saying that all the dragons are good. Plus there's, like, that sword that he pulled out of the trumpet. That we need to find out. Like, I love that. Kubo is the biggest troll I have ever even read about. Well, almost as big as the guy, as the writer for Seven Deadly Sins. That guy is the biggest troll of all time. Like, when I was reading, like, that part before the Demon King showed back up again, that was the biggest troll. I was actually happy that it was ending. If you would have just ended it there, that would have been fine, but then you didn't need the Chaos Arc. Sorry, I'm going on with Seven Deadly Sins. But that's basically it. Oh, I should mention some characters that I think it can make sense to come back in Burn the Witch. First one, Grimmjow, that I want to see back and maybe see his second release form, which I know exists because it's said that in Can't You Fear Your Own World, that exists. Maybe Neliel? Yeah, Neliel can show up and maybe show her second release. She'd definitely be fine. Like, maybe some captains, Rukia and Kenpachi, definitely. Like, we could see their, like, perfected Bankais. Like, Rukia has had 10 years to improve her Bankai. Which means that, and definitely she would have married Renji and like had her kids, so that would already be sorted out. And maybe Ichigo's son could show up in this series. That'd be perfectly fine. So that is 2 things, okay. Maybe Shunsui could like show up, like maybe East Division and West Division could show up and maybe have like a mini arc that they could just hang out. Because I'm sure Kubo would love to like see his characters interact. And somebody has to notice that Wolfgang looks like Yuha. I'd be fun if that'd be a joke. Like, maybe, I forget the guy with like the chains and the size, who's like the 9th Division Lieutenant. We could like see his Bankai. That'd be definitely cool. Maybe we could see Shinji's Bankai, because we know what they are from Can't Fear Your Own World, but I don't know them exactly. I haven't read the books, but I've like skimmed the wiki. That's all I really know. I know that they have Bankais, and I know what Shinji's is, which is overpowered as hell. Which also makes sense why, although it's an overpowered, that is also a reason that he didn't use it in the final arc. Which makes sense, because if he would have used it, it's basically really useless, but overpowered. It's something that's very situational. And that's basically it for the series. Well, this season. I really enjoyed it. I want to see more of it. Like, I'm fine with it, like, being a once a year thing. Like, come out, like, more chapters. Sorry. And, that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, and this will be replacing Attack on Titan for me for this week. I'll come out, like, I've still got my One Piece thing to do. My One Piece review, and that's it. This is Web Manga, and I'm Adrian Manga, signing out.